So now we are going to see the second game in this bird system. So the opening moves are just the same, and a man that knows his way can travel fast, isn't it? So let us just traveling fast here. E3, knight d7, all of this we have seen before. H3, bishop takes f3, queen takes back. And now knight to f6, and then of course the new move g2 to g4. We just saw in the first game what happens after e5, so let us continue with e6 as was played in this game. d2 to d3, and maybe you remember that Thomas Luthers played bishop to b4 check in the first game here. But my opponent played bishop to d6 in this game. This game here was played on the internet, and it is a fast game. And the quality, of course, in fast game is not as good as in normal games. But anyhow, it's a good training opportunity to go on the internet whenever you feel like it and try out your openings. That is an advice I will give you here. So after e4, white is threatening e4 to e5, winning this piece again. Take, and black has to play e5. g4 to g5, the knight has to go back, and f4 to f5. All this we have seen before, but remember in the other game, then white had his c-pawn on c3. That's the only difference. So now after a7 to h6, I didn't play h3 to h4 as in the Thomas Luthers game, because as you remember, I studied this position with Fritz and he suggested queen h5 as stronger. Now in this fast game on the internet, my opponent played knight e7, and then I knew that he was lost after bishop c4. It's of course a big advantage to have this knowledge, and it follows you everywhere you go. After g7 to g6, then bishop takes f7 check, winning. King takes f7 and f takes d6, opening up the f file. If he now takes back with the knight, then rook f1 check, and after king g7, then g takes h6, and of course he cannot take with the rook now, because the bishop on c1 is defending also h6. And after king h7, it will end up with checkmate, because after rook f7, king g8, king takes d6, we have this checkmate already. So now I will have to go back to the position where white took on g6, and instead of taking back with the knight, he then went to g8 with his king. But after g takes h6, the position is lost because this king position is just too unsafe. So after knight f6 check, then I played h7. And remember, the king cannot move now up to g7, for example. Queen h6 is just simply a checkmate. So instead, he took on h7 with the knight, but then g7, and the king will then be without any defense. He will be totally alone, while the white bishop on c1, the right rook on h1, and the queen on h5 will attack the king. Now he tried bishop b4 in a hopeless position. After c3 he played queen d4. It's quite clever to play this in a fast game, because he is not only preventing rook g1, the queen is defending that square, but he's also threatening e4. But now I had the opportunity to play a very strong move, queen to g4, attacking the king, because white is actually threatening to checkmate in two moves. If he was to move now, he could play queen e6, and when the king take on g7, then bishop c1 to h6 checkmate. So that's why he played knight f6, and then of course I just took the rook. After king takes h8, then queen h4 check, and after king g7, then bishop to h6. Now white continued with his development. And after king f7, then knight d2, and you can see that the queen and the bishop are now threatened. I couldn't take the queen earlier because the pawn on c3 was pinned. So now he took on c3, and after b takes c3, queen takes c3, attacking the rook on a1. I just played rook b1, very simple, and then he gave up. He's a rook down, and the king is unsafe.